Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Grid Talk podcast. Yes, it feels like ages since we last did one of these, but
It
this
does
is
indeed.
the preview. As you can see, Wajid is still here. I've gone the right way this time,
You have.
and yes, his voice is fine. It's just a bit stuttery. Don't worry, we're getting there towards paying the mouse more to run quicker.
It's supposed to be on 350 megabits. Thanks, Virgin.
Welcome to the north of England. Wajid, how are you? It feels like a bit of a time, but it hasn't.
It does I think it's normally because we record earlier in the week, don't we? Just
Yeah.
but because of timing constraints, unfortunately, it's been a struggle. But we're here. We're here. Don't worry, we're here. And looking forward to probably, aside from Monaco, the most boring race on the track, on the circuit. Sorry, on
Well,
the calendar.
we'll get onto that very shortly. If anything changes to what we say in free practice one, we've only got 4 minutes of it left, but you never know. Please forgive us. We're recording with 4 minutes to go in free practice one. So for Spain, so it is not like we're ignoring what's happening in the world. It's just that we're recording this, then we're sending it out, and then free practice one will have already finished. So we don't want that. But yeah, but we haven't really got a huge amount of news this week. F1's been on the quietness. So I thought we'd go a little bit different and we'd surprisingly go Dutch with a rumour mill or rumour windmill if you're Dutch. Anyway, that's just alienated all the Dutch fans. Yeah, we're good at this.
It's fine. It's fine. It's on top of all the Americans we alienated last year.
Oh,
so
we've
it's okay.
alienated plenty of people. The first thing in is Antonelli, the super license. This isn't a rumour, actually. This is actually new. A very small piece of news. They've changed the super license rules. So Antonelli would be okay because he is now 17 going on to 18. Is this a favouritism call, Wajid? Or because there's been a lot of powering from Brian Herter. Christ, we're going back. Colton Herter fans, he wasn't given special dispensation. But then we've got to remember, Kimi Antonelli has the license points, just can't use them, whereas Herter doesn't actually have any and wouldn't have any because he's only finished third in the IndyCar once.
Yeah, and it's over like 2 or 3 years or something stupid.
Yeah.
Even though IndyCar is literally on par with Formula One, but because of the super licensing. Whatever. That's a whole different video. Yeah, of course it's favoritism. They changed the rules and Max came in at 16. Because someone that young can never get a super license ever again, or whatever special dispensation Max got to first point. And the FIA have gone, do you know what? Sod our rules. Let's change them again. So I think it all but seems to confirm that Antonelli will be on the grid in some way, shape, or form. To be perfect, in my opinion, to be perfectly honest. But again, it's just what's the point of having rules? Like, what's the point of setting up any legislation? You might as well just let the teams decide how they want to run the sport at this moment in time. Like they already partially decide. You might as well let them fully decide. You might as well say what's the point for 25 points and 18 points per second? You might as well just give everyone 25 points. So, totally pointless, totally absurd. And could Antonelli be a great driver one day? Absolutely. Does he deserve to be in the grid next year? No chance. No chance at all. But I guess Mercedes are scared of the Max Verstappen. Let's all burn from the Max Verstappen loss. So here we are.
Yeah, it is something that comes up every now and again. I get what they're. If they want to stick Antonelli in the car, I'm not going to go against it because, obviously, I am I've been a big guy for not having this super license points thing because somebody like Jenson Button would never have gone into Formula One when he did. Somebody like Max Verstappen wouldn't have gone into Formula One when he did. Schumacher wouldn't have got in because he was in the World Endurance Championship or equivalent at the time. Heinz-Alf Frentzen wouldn't have got in. Damon Hill certainly wouldn't have got in. So Jacques Villeneuve, because he went the American route, he wouldn't have gone in. Actually, you've got to think, there's a lot of drivers who didn't go through Form F3000. Mika Hakkinen.
Kimi Räikkönen.
Damon Hill did, bear in mind, but let's say it wasn't good.
Well, Kimi Räikkönen didn't go through Formula 3000. He came through Formula Europe or something.
Formula Renault,
Formula
in the UK.
Yeah.
But if you go through, yes, we would have had Heidfeld, we would have had Hulkenberg, we would have probably got. I still think on the grid we need people like I know the quality has gone up. Don't get me wrong, because there's only 2 or 3 drivers we could go. If you're in the right car, you won't win the Grand Prix. If you were in a dominant 2015 Mercedes or 14 Mercedes, you would not win the championship. There's only a few drivers on there.
Or last year's Red Bull.
Yeah, exactly. So there's only a few drivers you'd say that to. Whereas if you go back in time, obviously, let's take early noughties, late 90s, you'd have Badura in a Minardi doing all right, but he wasn't going to win the World Championship, even though he'd won F3000. So it just shows that doing well in these lower formulas doesn't always add up. Luca Badura was champion. Sasperi was champion. He jumped in the Lola. Yes, okay, he was 4 seconds quicker than Rosset, but he wasn't quick enough to get on the grid. So loads of different examples we could get. I think that's another video I need to start. Who wouldn't be on the grid under super license points? But it's certainly a situation where. Am I going to say Antonelli doesn't deserve to be on the grid? No, but
I am.
Is it right that is he done a Lewis Hamilton? No, that's when Lewis got thrown straight into a championship winning car. Has Kimi Antonelli done enough to deserve that? No. Is the Mercedes going to be a championship winning car? No. Don't even need to finish my sentence. But it's a difficult one. I don't agree with the super license points rules. Never have, never will. I do think you should be able to pick whichever driver you want. We just had Le Mans. If somebody's done really well at Le Mans previously, it'd be like, we might give him a go. Now you can't do that. So we'll see. Just to let everybody know, Free Practice 1 has just finished. When the results come up, we will quickly run through them, but Sky is a little delayed on the
the thing is with Lewis was very, very circumstantial. It was Kimi going to Ferrari, and I believe DC went to the Red Bull at the same time.
2000. Oh, hang on.
2006. End of 2006, going into 2007, wasn't it?
We can't change our predictions, by the way. We're already on sheets of paper. But this is Free Practice 1 results. Lando Norris is quickest from Max Verstappen. Sainz and Russell both on medium tyres, so that's why they're a couple of tenths back. Perez in 5th, Piastri 6th, Hamilton, Ocon, Alonso and Albon creeping into the top 10. Normally expected. Williams does go well around here. Leclerc, Bottas, Gasly, Stroll 14th, Ricciardo 15th, 3 tenths clear of Yuki Tsunoda, who finished last behind Behrman, Sargent, Magnussen, and Zhou Guanyu in 16th. So, for anybody who wanted to know, actually practice. If you didn't want to know, spoiler. We're now going to go on to back to where we were. So, I'm trying to think where we were.
I mentioned that Lewis was
2006. Montoya had jumped out with McLaren mid-season.
Yeah, he got sacked mid-season, didn't he?
They put Pedro De La Rosa in, and I believe Pedro De La Rosa was told he was going to have that seat. at because obviously Alonso was already signed up, and obviously Alonso would have loved Pedro de la Rosa alongside him. He's got him at the moment. He seems to follow him around the garages, but yeah, it's certainly a strange one with Antonelli. Like it's not between the whole grid going, Antonelli's amazing, he must be on this grid. It is very much of half and half on what we think is good enough.
And sorry, also Lewis won the F2 championship before he jumped into that car, and he'd had stellar drives like his essentially last to second place in Turkey. Like he'd had drives in the F2 car, which was like, it was still a risk. We hadn't seen a quote unquote rookie in a championship winning car since Villeneuve jumped in the 1996 Williams. Antonelli's not on the level at this moment in time of what Villeneuve was when Villeneuve was in the Williams and when Hamilton jumped in the McLaren. So, for me, it just seems, and especially with the drivers that are like Carlos Sainz still doesn't have a drive.
Yeah.
Who would you rather take at this moment in time, Kimi Antonelli or Carlos Sainz? Antonelli might become a very good driver, but for me, he's not proved anything at all, and he's not performing in F2 this season. If anything, he's very, very average, to be perfectly honest. So I don't understand where all the hype around Antonelli has come from for him to be so deserving of a drive when the likes of Felipe Drugovich, who, albeit won a weak F2 last season or the season before, the man still can't. Sorry, 2 seasons ago, he still can't get a drive in Formula One. He's had to go to IndyCar to get a drive. Antonelli's not that much better than Drugovich.
So, Pourchaire's gone to IndyCar, which we could get onto as well, because yet again, do not sign a contract with Zach Brown. But yeah, just sort of steering away from Antonelli as such. We're hearing obviously Gasly is. We're hearing also that it's not confirmed that Antonelli will be in Mercedes. It is a rumor. It is like he is second choice. He will get it if they can't get Max Verstappen, which apparently still hasn't been decided out there, which does kind of make a lot of sense. If you think about what we've heard and seen and rumors that go round, Max Verstappen has not made a decision on his future at Red Bull yet. Now, Adrian Newey is going. We hear the Mercedes power plant is very good. He's got connections with Mercedes in the first place. And Mercedes are losing the talisman. They're going to need somebody who sells their merchandise, sells their thing. No disrespect to George Russell. He's not going to sell it in the bulk that Lewis Hamilton did. So, or Kimi Antonelli isn't going to. So, straight away, who do you look at? You look at somebody like Fernando Alonso, who's now signed for Aston Martin, and Max Verstappen. And who's driving best on the grid at the moment? Probably Max Verstappen. So you stick him. You want to get him, and if you can get him over Antonelli, then all the best.
I mean, he is the face of F1 at this moment in time. He's the triple world champion. He's the triple world champion. So he is the face. Whether anyone on the grid sells merch like Lewis does, I mean that's
slightly different. But
yeah,
you've got to have your second best, your third best. And the Dutch fans are going to go after all the stuff. But,
absolutely. But do you reckon they've not announced? So this is me going 4D out of the box. But do you reckon they've not announced Ricardo in the second seat at RB, Visa, Cash App, American Express, MasterCard, debit card, NatWest? Because they still don't know where Max is going to be next year.
I think there's part of that, but there's also the part of me that goes, well, Sergio Perez and Yuki Tsunoda have been signed on RB contracts. not RB the team, Red Bull contracts. That's not Red Bull Racing. That's not Red Bull RB. So I always remember with our Red Bull that all 4 of those drivers will be on Red Bull contracts. So they could be put in whatever seat Red Bull like. And I very much do see if Max does stay, Sergio gets a stay of execution next season for a little bit. But say he's not performing, any of those guys in the RB can come through. So while you say about not announcing Ricciardo due to this, could be applying pressure to the Verstappens, but also on the other side of things, because of the complex nature of Red Bull contracts, not 100% sure on that. But yeah, I think it could be applying pressure, certainly. And to move on from that, another person who we've been talking about for months and months and months and months and months and months and months, we've got Sainz and we've got Adrian Newey. Now, both of them continue to be on the rumour mill. Sainz has said he's not very happy that things are not moving anywhere yet. And Adrian Newey is just pulling the strings. I mean, there's rumours he has had I'll call them rumours, that he's had a secret factory tour at Aston Martin. Now, if he's not going to Aston Martin and he's done that, Lawrence Stroll is more of a stupid man than I thought. Because if you've got something secret in there and you took Adrian Newey around, he remembers things. Make sure he didn't take his notebook with him, because you know what he's like. He makes notes on the grid. So we'll start with Sainz. We've got many. Do you think maybe Sainz is hanging on still on the idea that Verstappen goes to Mercedes?
Yeah.
Because he's obviously had an offer off Audi. He's had an offer off Williams. I don't see where else he's going to fit in, because Mercedes sort of said no now.
Alpine
could be looking for 2 new drivers yet, but
they're definitely looking for one.
Yeah, there's rumours that Gasly's looking around, but then again, same with Sainz. Where does he go if he doesn't go Alpine?
But I also think Gasly's stock isn't like Carlos's.
No.
Gasly's stock's never been the same since that Red Bull stint. At least with Alex. Alex has rebuilt his stock and he's become a driver where if a top team is looking the next year or two at Alex Albon, they'll go, yeah, do you know what? That's a good. I don't think anyone looks at Pierre Gasly like that anymore. I think that's the other thing. And I think I think everyone is waiting to see what Max is. As soon as Max Verstappen makes his decision on where he's driving next year, then I think the rest of the chips fall.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have said, I think it was to K-Mag, they said, what's the cork in the bottle? And he just looked over at Carlos and said, him. So, I mean, yeah, I do get that people are looking at Max Verstappen and going, actually, he hasn't announced anything yet. He should be there. He's got the contract, but whether he stays is a different kettle of fish, because we know what contracts are worth of. Adrian Newey still, we've mentioned it before, he's got many choices. The rumours now, obviously, we heard in Canada that he was hours away from signing for the Ferrari. Then we heard Williams had come in with a big offer for Sainz for, I think it was a 4-year deal, with Newey joining as well. Don't ask me where that connection comes in. But anyway, but Newey goes onto the board of Williams, so owns part of the team, which was quite an interesting way of doing it. He's also been linked with Aston Martin. Also on the sideline, we've heard that Toto Wolff is still working in the background to try and get him there. Obviously, one of the best designers in Formula One, or the best designer in Formula One, right this second. And people were chasing him. But there's so many rumours. I mean, EJ is his manager, Eddie Jordan, for those who don't know. He helped him get through the contract with Red Bull. He wants to go somewhere else, because why would you negotiate your gardening leave if you didn't? He got away with gardening leave, which is surprising for Red Bull. And then he hasn't really announced anything and just gone, yeah, rumours.
maybe he's actually retiring. Like maybe
Well, he's pulling everybody on a string if he is.
I mean, but maybe he's just genuinely can't be bothered anymore. I'll be honest, I don't see him going to Williams. You know that whole nostalgia thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't see him going to Williams at all with the amount of work. Yeah, cool. The ownership makes it interesting. For me, I've said at the start, he wants to work with one of the sort of great former world champions. It's either going to be Aston or it's going to be Ferrari, and I can't shake the feeling he doesn't want to wear the red just once, even if it's for 2 years, 1 year, 1 or 2 years.
Yeah. My problem with this whole thing is he's got a choice. He's got a move to Italy, which is obviously 1 or 2, or a move for 6 months and then come back home or whatever. Obviously, in this modern day and age, it's a lot easier to work away from the factory. But can he go and trust Fernando Alonso? We know trusting Fernando Alonso is not easy in the F1 paddock. So, would you want to go there and have that situation where you're willing to do all these drawings or whatever? And who knows, Fernando may have sent Pedro de la Rosa into your office, took a few pictures and moved team next season. Honestly, it could happen. And also check his emails. But it's just, I can't see him going to Aston Martin, because while Lawrence Stroll could say, here's the freedom, he's not going to have that freedom. He's not.
He's not going to have that freedom.
And the Valkyrie project's already built. So yes, he can try and rebuild the hypercar, but he's not going to completely redesign it. They won't have the money. So while there's other interest, well, Ferrari obviously have got the hypercar, but they're going to need a new one at some point.
And an Adrian Newey stamped Ferrari hypercar. Do you imagine the marketing behind it? Like, a Ferrari is a Ferrari. A Ferrari sells itself, but to have the Pièce de Resistance and stick the Adrian Newey label on, just get him to, auto monochrome or autograph 50 or something. It's an extra $1 million just for that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very true, and it's just, there's just not one slip up. And Eddie Jordan normally gives a little bit of a clue. He normally gives something away, but even though he's doing a podcast every week now, he doesn't seem to give something away. So the Adrian Newey doesn't seem to have moved on. Sainz still hasn't moved on in terms of a decision, even though he seems to want to get it decided. Antonelli hasn't moved on. Verstappen is just keeping quiet. So let's move on to Alpine just very quickly. Looking for a new engine design partner, which, you got Renault, which won championships. Don't see what good this is doing, except for they're selling the team. It can't be anything else. Why would you get rid of Ocon? Possibly get rid of Gasly, get rid of multiple engineers and top brass in that team, bring in an advisor of Flavio Briatore, who was here when it was a Works Renault team and when it was Benetton and things like that. So he knows the team well and has a lot of contacts. And you want to stop building your own engine that you have control over, which won world championships with Red Bull and with yourselves back in 2006, 2005, to get a customer one. It sniffs very much of 2008, 2009.
They're selling the team. I don't think Renault do this cycle every sort of. It's the end of the Renault cycle, isn't it? They'll be back in 3 or 4 years' time when they need the name back out there and things like that. They've not been the team of 2005, 2006. Those days are long gone. And even then, they still had a fairly decent car in the sort of following years after that. But I had them pinned when the regulation changed. What was it 2021? 2020, 2021. I genuinely had them as this is the team that's going to break the top three. The top three grasp because they were the head of the midfield. They had a strong driver lineup in Hulkenberg and Ricciardo, regardless of what Ricciardo decided to do. But they had a strong lineup. They were thereabouts. They were the team that was picking up the pieces when it was coming to wins and podiums and all that stuff there. And to see them just fall backwards, it's beggars belief. As you said, all the engineers have gone. Ownership, on my staff now, he got replaced mid-season for Albon. No one seems to know why. Their chief engineer, he also got replaced. No one seems to know why. It just reeks of the brass in Paris have had a conversation and gone, no thanks, see you later.
Yeah, well, I'm just seeing actually on Twitter, Will Buxton has been quoted as saying that he thinks there'll be an announcement on Carlos Sainz in the next 24 hours or so. I don't get this. Let's make an announcement in the middle of the weekend. Everyone's around. It gives us more work to do. We don't want that. But yeah, so in terms of Alpine, but I also don't see him being sold to somebody like Andretti, because that's going to take Andretti to have to move to the Euro, which he doesn't want to really do completely. And Renault can't go to Andretti and go, we'll buy you back. Every time it's switched back, it's been, it was Benetton to Renault, or partly Renault, then it went to like independent crews, wasn't it, of investors, which ironically we've had the investors in the sports stars coming in, Anthony Joshua, Rory McIlroy, etc., Ryan Reynolds. Maybe not sports stars, but yeah, you know what I mean.
But they've gone their model is the UFC route, where they've allowed celebrities and wealth teams to invest in and take shares in the company. Yeah,
well, that makes sense, but then you're not going to sell to Andretti and just kick all them people out. It makes no sense. So it's one which is going to evolve. But I think, like you said, it's going to evolve to a sale of that Enstone-based team. We think. I think that's about it, to be fair. It's actually been quite a long rumour mill because it's all on exactly the same stuff.
Yeah, and there's no news per se, but you have to talk about the rumours. So it's a strange one. It's been a strange one.
Yeah, it has been a strange one, but it looks like we're just trying to see. Have they gone on to F? No, we're still walking around paddock talking to Danica and Karun.
Practice 2, I think, starts at 4:00 UK time.
Yeah, so that's two more hours for everybody to wait till free practice 2, when they'll just cruise around and do exactly the same thing. Anyway, it's true, isn't it? Be honest.
That's true.
So far, we are obviously now previewing the Spanish GP. Spanish GP that we've had for, I think, 1991 was the first time we come to Barcelona. I want to quote myself as it. Also, if you've been watching free practice, what the hell is that new bridge going down to turn 9?
I don't know.
Instead
of changing the track layout, they went, do you know what this place is missing? A bridge.
Yes, but the worst thing is I've seen, because it's so close to the braking zone for that turn 10, which used to be a lot harsher, but we've seen cars catapult over
there, yeah.
And now we've got a bridge in the way.
It's fine. I'm sure nothing. Yeah. I'm sure nothing will come wrong. I'm sure nothing will be wrong.
That'll be an interesting one. Race red flagged for car and bridge. Anyway, Spanish GP, 1913, the first Spanish GP was held, but obviously nothing official till 1950. And we've been at Barcelona on this layout since last year. Make it nice and easy. They've obviously changed it a bit. They added the chicane and went, no, it don't work. Yeah, we could have told you that. Other Grand Prix, other circuits, shall we say, that have held the British Grand Prix. We had Pedro Bills, which was until 1951, Jarama and Montague. Now, Jarama was known for the Gilles Villeneuve hold up for most of the race. I think it was the top 6 he just defended from. Then we had the one up on the mountain just south of Barcelona. See, I could say this because I've been to Barcelona. Went up that mountain, and then somebody went, "You're on a racetrack," and I'm like, "Are we?" which it completely slipped my mind. But then they had to end that because of deaths due to. There's a lot because there's Arncode barriers weren't fastened down properly. There's protests. The drivers refused to race. It was chaos. We'll try and forget that one. We also had Jerez for a number of years, even though it did host Grand Prix in 1997 for the European Grand Prix.
And albeit one of the most famous races in F1 history.
Yeah, and to be fair, it was a great race, a good racetrack. It's just a little bit tight for these narrow cars, wide cars. But it's very good on motorbikes if you've ever seen stuff. And Catalonia, 1992. Was hang on, is it? No, first one was 91 because it was the Senna Mansell. And then I would say, I mean, you said it at the start about it being boring. I would say we've probably had a mix of races here.
So my issue is if, and it's always been my issue, if you're going to race, if the circuit is on the calendar, it shouldn't be a test site at the same time.
Well, it's also not now.
Well, now it's not, but they've established what 15 years worth of data on the track. How much is the track? How much is the track really going to change?
True, but I would say if you look at practice, it hasn't been the Noah's Ark that we normally get.
Yeah, I mean, you say that, but there's no one sort of different at the top, is there? It's the same.
It's the same people, but in terms of we normally got 2 Red Bulls, 2 Ferraris, 2 Mercedes, 2 McLarens.
Yeah, like I said, I don't read too much in. My issue has been is that they were using Catalonia as a test site for 20 years when they could have very easily gone to Jerez. They could have gone to any other country, to be perfectly honest. And I guarantee it's going to be the same issue we're having in Bahrain, which is they go there for 2 weeks, test for a week, and then the opening races in Bahrain. Like, it makes no sense.
I would say in this cost cap era, I still don't get why we don't use Silverstone. 7 of the teams are like within spitting distance of them.
Or Donington, or Rochester.
Yeah, but somewhere like Silverstone, you could turn around and say, right, most of you are in spitting distance. Anybody who has to travel there, the FIA will cover that under an extra bit of cost cap, because obviously it's slightly unfair that they've got to travel and maybe spend that money. And then you haven't got any of this. Speaking of winners, anyway, Michael Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton top on this in 6. Can Lewis make it 7? No. I find it hard to look at Michael being 6 because the 2001 win, Mick should have probably finished that lap. But Mick Hakkinen there on 3 just behind. So actually, both of those drivers have double what anybody else has. There's two drivers on 6, and then a number of drivers on 3 wins for the Spanish Grand Prix, including one of Max Verstappen.
I mean, I know you bring up his 2001 race, which, yeah, he fully didn't deserve. However, it kind of makes up for it because that 1996 drive in the rain was one of the most majestic drives anyone's ever seen.
And 1995, no, before it was he was stuck in fifth gear and finished
second, yeah,
or something. But yeah, constructors wise, always a good stomping ground for Ferrari. 12 wins there, but hasn't won since 2013, which is the year after Maldonado. That was with Fernando Alonso. Actually, since Schumacher left the team, they've only won 3 times: 2007, 2008, and 2013. Mercedes, obviously, gallivanting since 2014. They've got 9 wins, and then McLaren and Williams on 8. Can't see Williams is changing, but you never know. Maldonado did it. McLaren who are in contention, haven't won here since 2005, in fact, which is a Kimi Räikkönen win. So that's wow. That is a while ago. Actually, they've only won twice here since 2000. So yeah, McLaren, bit of a drought around here, which I'm quite surprised to hear. Red Bull on 5. So
they got close. Lewis did stick it on pole in the Maldonado win before he got disqualified, and I reckon Lewis would have run that race.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, he was
for people who say, "Oh, you fanboying Lewis again." No, it's a fact. He did put it on pole and he got disqualified.
Yeah, he didn't have the 1 litre of fuel, I think, or whatever. But then we go look at the last few winners. I'm going to just say the last, obviously there are multiple winners here, but the last few, since 2016, it's been Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton to win here. Could that change? Nico Rosberg, 2015, Lewis, 14, and then we get to the Ferrari win with Alonso. But before that, you had Alonso, Maldonado, Vettel, Webber, Button, Räikkönen, Massa, and then back to Alonso's 2006 championship. So there was a period where you couldn't predict who was going to win the Barcelona Grand Prix. And now you definitely can kind of predict it. We did try, and we'll get onto predictions just very, very shortly. But you look at that, and it's drivers getting very, there's no Nico Rosberg in there. We could probably say 2016 Max wouldn't have won it if the 2 Mercedes hadn't collided. Maybe Lewis would have won that. Maybe Rosberg would have won that. But I personally think we get very exciting Spanish Grand Prix. Maybe not overtaking wise, but like last year's was decent enough. Mercedes and Perez were involved for a bit until Perez got told to move out the way. Or was that 2022?
I'm trying to think. Was last year the one where Lewis ended up last, even though he had the pace to win it, or was that the year?
Last year was the year that Lewis was second on the podium.
Last year was the one where Checo got told move out of the way. You're on different strategies, and then he ended up getting screwed, and he had no idea why he got told to move out of the way. That was last year. Yeah.
So Mercedes do have a good record and have looked decent, especially this morning, still look decent as well. Lewis Hamilton has come out and asked everybody, and we will join in with that, and just at least until Monday morning, in supporting the team and not being critical of George Russell and favouritism. As I say, we'll hold on till Monday. But prediction time. As I say, Spanish Grand Prix, mix and match really of results. So we will go on to our predictions. And we'll move on to the constructors down the bottom. Let me find it. We want qualifying first, which I believe is that one. We'll find out when I click this button. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Yes, I'm wrong. Let's try that one. There we go. Spanish Grand Prix qualifying. So, Wajid, talk us through your decision to have Max Verstappen on pole and Sergio Perez in 5th.
I thought I was being quite polite to Checo, to be honest, because I was debating whether he even makes the top 5. Given his run, given he's on his legendary run of not being able to make it out of Q1, I just think Max has. I think over one lap, I still think the Red Bull is the quickest car on the circuit, and I trust Max to put it on pole when needed. What did he end up? Did he end up 3rd last week? in Canada. Or was it second? Was it second or third? I forgot.
Who's that?
Max
What, on the grid?
on the grid.
Third.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, can't remember. Carry on.
yeah. So he did make a small mistake, which is very un-Max like. But Catalonia, it's where he got his first win for Red Bull. He's
Oh yeah,
always been.
sorry, he was second, wasn't he? Because he was equal on time when.
Sorry, yeah, that was it. So I mean, he would have stuck it on pole anyway if the times had matched. So with the times matching, I just trust Max and the pace of the Red Bull, and he's always been very very good around Catalonia. To be honest, so I've gone Max first. Checo, as I said, very lucky for me to be in fifth. I think, and with Norris, I think the McLarens have established themselves as the number 2 car on the grid. And Leclerc, the reason I've gone Leclerc and Sainz is Leclerc's 1 lap pace is probably the best on the grid, even though the car is probably the second/third fastest. Leclerc, I think, is the best 1 lap driver currently on the grid, and Sainz is going to have that home bounce. He's in front of the Spanish fans. He's in Catalonia. I think he wants that. He wants that win in Spain more than anything else. So he'll get all that. It's the same bounce every driver gets when they race at their home circuit. I just think that early season form we had of Carlos Sainz, I think that's now gone, and he's sort of established himself behind Charles Leclerc. So that's the sort of thinking behind my prediction. And how about yourself, my friend?
Well, I think Red Bull will be back on top in general. I know they weren't quite in practice, but I just think it'll suit the car. Sites managed to pop it on front row last time. I think Fry will be back. I think Canada was just a bit of a blip, especially with qualifying. And honestly, the mixed conditions probably didn't help that. Norris in fourth. Yeah, just I think the McLaren is quicker on a race pace than a qualifying pace. And if he can start high enough, then he can be a contender for a win. And I've put George in fifth because I was going to put Lewis and then realised 2 tenths would have knocked Lewis out of the top 10. So we had to put Russell first, just so that 2 tenths gap just stays in. No, sorry, we said we weren't doing that. Naughty boy. Silly boy. That is our qualifying predictions. Obviously, a little bit further down, we could pick other people. But who do you think will be yours? I mean, we've got that there. It looks very general, normal. Have you got like a driver you think will be out in Q1 who shouldn't be, and a driver who you think will surprise everybody?
If I was to say someone going out of Q1, I can see Lewis going out of Q1 because he's just had this tendency to just lose total pace. He can be in P2, P3 in qualifying in practice 3, and then he just 2 hours later there just seems to be no pace in the car. So I can see Lewis falling back to 18th. And I guess if you're going to talk about drivers who I don't expect, I could see Fernando. I could see Fernando having a very very good qualifying. Again, Catalonia, Spanish fans, home crowd. There should be no accusations that the FIA is being racist towards them, because the Spanish might kill them. So, it should be a fairly safe bet. And they might get some lenient decisions as well. So, who knows?
I would go with my Q1 exit, who shouldn't be exiting Q1. I think it's going to. Oh yeah, I've got to check my my qualifying result again. Actually, yeah, I think I'm afraid it's going to be Sergio Perez.
3 in a row.
I think he's going to be out or struggling to get through. He shouldn't be because the car's really quick here. The driver who I think will be a big surprise, I'm going to go Danny Rick. I think he's going to get that RB into the top 10.
Interesting.
Which, whether that's a surprise or not to many, I don't know.
Jacques Villeneuve disapproves of this message.
I disapprove of his music. We'll move on to the race predictions we've got. And Wajid,
we're never getting a Paddock pass ever.
Yeah, I don't think JV was going to give me one anyway. We move on. You've got Lando Norris to win the Grand Prix.
I do. I think the McLarens are now they're becoming regulars up here. I think they're now going to start taking risks, and we've seen here, with Lewis and Verstappen, that if you're 2 or 3 seconds behind and you're both stuck on the same tire strategy, if you make an extra pit stop, put on the alternative strategy, if the car in front doesn't pit quick enough, or they're too late to react, or they're trying to hang out, or trying to hold out, we've seen the drivers in second, third, hunt down the driver in first on the wrong tire and overtake. And I have a feeling that's what's going to happen, because I think, Catalonia is notoriously difficult to overtake, minus the long back straight.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've just got a feeling that that's what's going to happen with Norris and Leclerc. I think Verstappen will be up there driving calmly, and I just think the Ferraris and the McLarens are going to take the risk this time. My top three are, I think it's going to be those three that are going to clearly run away. Sainz is going to do his best to sort of hang on, but he'll be a comfortable fourth. And I'm going with the current number one driver at Mercedes to finish fifth, because he has been generally quicker. He has been generally quicker than Lewis all season. Very, very good third place in Canada, even though he should have won it. And there was a crap ton of mistakes and he bottled it. But, I'm trying to be nice. So that's why I've gone for fifth, because I also don't trust Checo Perez. And how about yourself?
Well, obviously, I think Verstappen will control the pace from front. It's one of them in Barcelona, but we have seen mistakes before around Barcelona. It's quite a windy circuit. The wind catches out cars quite quickly. So you just never know. Like you say, with the stops, normally a one stop, but 2 stops can win it. If 2 stops can win it, can 3 stops win it? It is one of them Grand Prix where you get a few different ones, even though they've got the hardest tyre choices. The highest tyre choices? The hardest tyre we'll say it soon. Hardest tyre choices there is in the pack. So, yeah, I think Verstappen will do it. He'll only just about beat the late charging Norris, because Norris decided not to push for the first 10 laps. Leclerc
be fair, 20.
Maybe 20 laps, yeah. Leclerc just holding off Hamilton, who is on a late race charge as always, when his tyre pressures suddenly become right. And Sainz, yeah, I think he'll have a decent run, but I just feel the pressure might get to him a little bit in terms of a home Grand Prix and wanting to do really well. But as you can see from our choices, we're not going too far off course here. We're not going to expect a huge different you can see there, no different victors, no different top fivers. We've not suddenly said Yuki Tsunoda's going to finish third or anything like that. There's not. Don't go to Barcelona and go, there's going to be a sudden amount of randomness. I mean, if I remember rightly, Maldonado was quick when he got the pole, but to pull that lap out was like nothing we'd seen in practice. So,
yeah. And then, the 2012 cars you couldn't overtake. It wasn't a case of he drove away from the front. Fernando and was it Kimi that finished second? Was it Kimi that finished second? I don't remember.
It was Kimi in third.
Yeah, sorry, Kimi. They just couldn't overtake, because they had every single piece of aero design on the cars that was pushing away wind was also pushing away the cars behind them as well. So So yeah, he pulled the lap out of nowhere. He pulled the race out of nowhere because he never raced like that ever again either.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, to be fair, he had a good race in some other races where he was not too bad, but he pulled out that, as we said before, Lewis was actually on pole, but fuel issues meant that he had to drop to the back. Narain Kane didn't finish that day, but Maldonado come from nowhere. The Lotuses were quick. Actually, in the race, I think it was Lotus went for a two-stop strategy with Raikkonen, which is why they're catching at the end and a few more laps, and he would have been on back of Fernando Alonso. The year you're thinking Kimi was second was 2016 when he was chasing down the newly formed Red Bull partner of Max Verstappen. So
because that's when Seb and Danny Rick pitted again.
Yeah,
and Danny was beside himself, going, "Why did they pit when I was in contention for the
Yeah, it was a difficult one, but as always, those are our predictions. If you've got any predictions, pop them down below. We can think of some random ones which we think may happen. Doesn't equate to our results. I know I've seen P1 podcast have decided to nick our scoring system from last year, and we've got rid of ours. So, I mean, great minds. Hi, Matty. Hi, Tommy. Love you, really. Randoms. You got any kind of thoughts, like in the race, that we're going to get a random result by somebody, or we're going to get a dog on the track or something?
There will be a red. I think there might be a red flag.
Okay.
And I also think it's going to rain on Sunday.
Well, looking at the forecast, it does say it's going to rain. So if we're going to get random results, a wet day in Barcelona is actually quite apt,
because when it rains in Spain, it really rains in Spain.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the last wet race we had in Spain. We probably are going back towards 96, if I'm honest.
I think it's the deluge of 96, because after that it's been bone dry from every time I remember.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look that one up because I don't know. Sean, if you're watching, which I know you're not, let me know. Save me looking it up. But yeah, it's certainly going to be one of them where we might get some expectations. I think we're going to see a Sauber in the points. I think Sauber are going to get their first points of the season. I can't tell you which one with, but I think Sauber will get a point. If it's a Grand Prix with loads of pit stops, they've got no chance because they're 12-second pit stops. But yeah, we'll see from there. But that is actually a slightly longer. It's amazing. I said there's no news, and we've made a longer podcast than we made when there was news. Work it out. Wajid, thank you for joining us again.
No, thank you for having me as always.
Preview. We should be back with a preview next week. If you are here,
review. We'll be back with a review first, and then a preview.
Yes, because we now have 3 on the trot. I had to make sure I wasn't going to. Why have I done it like that? 3 on the trot. There we go. We've got 3 on the trot. We've got here. We've got Austria, and then is it Britain?
It's Silverstone, yeah.
Yeah, and Britain. It's not Red Bull's issue that you're not selling tickets. Maybe don't charge 800 quid for a weekend. Sorry.
It's true because just quickly, the price hike by the British Drivers Racing Association is absolutely abominant.
Well, it's not just the BRDC, to be honest. It's more Silverstone as a whole. They kind of run it, but I mean, I just say from a fan, not from. I mean, obviously, I've got Alpha Live on the t-shirts or anything like that. This is just speaking as me as a fan. I find it far too expensive. I think I spent £150 for a weekend ticket back in 2012, and that was general admission.
I mean, for the same price, you can fly. You can fly to Bahrain. You can fly to Abu Dhabi. You can fly to Mexico. You can fly to Brazil. And have the entire weekend there, and still have a hotel, and still have money left over. Like that's the context we're talking.
Yeah, I knew I forgot something from the start of the show, and that was it. Silverstone, you're 10,000 people down because of you've took the mick with the prices. As simple as. But if you want to discuss prices with Wajid, there's his. There we go. There we go. Burnt Out Travels, just below there. That's on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it.
Nice. It's Instagram.
Oh, it's on Instagram. Sorry, that's on Instagram. So you're right there. And then me, you can find me at Motor Magpie. Obviously, if you have already, or haven't already, hit subscribe on the channel so we can get as many followers as possible and as many watch hours as possible on this channel. And also, I am streaming a lot more over on Twitch. So that would be really good if you could come and join us. Same handle
on Twitch.
Yeah, same handle. It's not so much motorsport stuff, but I will be there to talk about it. And we'll be doing some iRacing. I think it's going to be Monday for the next stream now. So look out for that. And so for now, it is goodbye. And we will see you after the Spanish Grand Prix, ready for the Austrian Grand Prix. God, we're going to be tired by the end of his 3 weeks. Goodbye, everybody.